Out of all the things you will try for back pain, one of them will be the worst. And for me personally, I realized this is the worst thing I could have done only years after the fact. It took me years to realize this, decades even, but now I'm very confident that this is the absolute worst thing you can do for chronic back pain. And funny enough, this was recommended to me by doctors. Doctors, S plural, many of them. I think literally every single one of the over dozen doctors I talked to about my back pain recommended this in one way or another. The recommendation was to be very, very super extra careful. I had to be very thoughtful about how I used my body, how I lifted weights, how I moved, how I made pretty much every single move. I had to be like really extra careful according to their recommendations. And honestly, at the time, this sounded like a pretty good idea to me. It made a lot of sense because movement was painful in a lot of instances. But now, knowing what I know now, man, what I would give to have a time machine. In this video, we will go over why being extra super careful is probably the worst thing you can do for your back pain. And there is a bit of nuance here, and we'll get to that in a minute as well. Before we get started, I have a free book on the topic of back pain. It goes into great detail on all the things I tried, all the things that worked, all the things that didn't work, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, how to create a perfect strategy that's gonna fit your injury, your context, your situation, and it's gonna help you heal in the fastest way possible. Definitely check it out. Completely free, no obligations. I don't even have to provide your email. You can if you want. After you download the book, you don't have to do anything. You can just check out the book. Definitely it's going to be a really useful resource for your healing process. Link to it is in the pinned comment or the description. Also, we got to go through this. You know how it works. This is not medical advice. I'm not your doctor. If your doctor says something that contradicts what I'm saying here, probably legally I have to say like you kind of have to listen to them, but you may find that the stuff they recommend doesn't always work, in which case you're probably free to make your own decisions, more or less, or at least have more freedom in making decisions for your health and well-being. Okay, let's do this. Being super careful, thoughtful, mindful about how you move, how you use your body, this was probably the worst thing I ever did for back pain. I know this sounds a little bit out there, but I believe this had the most detrimental effects on my back pain. It set me back for years. It slowed down my progress significantly. I think if I didn't do this and if I kind of went through a more casual, natural process of getting back into my body and starting to move, my healing journey would not have taken 10 years as it took. Maybe it would have been done in like a matter of few months. Basically, when I first injured my back, I went through a series of different types of doctors, and they all usually kind of gave me like this stern look, like very serious. They gave me a lot of warnings about how I must be like extra careful about how I move, how I use like every part of my body. Like my back is this fragile structure that needs to be like protected at all costs. And honestly, even just like receiving these types of warning with this type of like context and like delivery around them, it kind of made me feel guilty. And now I also have like this kind of rigid framework of how I must move and all the things that I can no longer do. Like exercise was also strictly not recommended. I was supposed to like stop going to the gym. Definitely, like a lot of the things that today I think are actually the keys to healing, I was told like you should forget about those. And unfortunately, even though this was one of the worst pieces of advice I ever got, I think I actually tried to stick to it the most. I got the fear of God instilled in me. Like I took this really seriously. So I was pretty physically active before like that point, and from that point onwards I became like really inactive. And this actually took quite a few years. I went from like pretty much doing at least some form of exercise for, let's say, like more than 8 months of the year to now doing like absolutely no activity at all, at least for I believe maybe 2 or 3 years, except for like some small rehab exercises, which, while recommended and good on their own, they were nowhere near the activity needed to actually strengthen and heal your back. So I stopped exercising. I became really careful of how I lifted heavy things. I even became so careful that this kind of turned into fear. This is actually like what's the worst thing about this advice. Like when someone is recommending you be like, oh, very super careful, you gotta be like super stressed about it, that usually is gonna morph into like some sort of a fear. Because when you receive like these warnings, these like kind of like doomsday prophecies, like "Oh, this is why you got injured." And by the way, like all the doctors told me like I got injured in the gym lifting heavy things, which is probably not what happened. I'm almost certain that that's a mistake on their part, because while I did work out in the gym like during that period, the day of the injury, like I didn't actually go to the gym. And the previous day when I actually had the workout, it was just, like a light workout. I mean, I actually did feel some like twitch in my body, but it was nowhere near an injury. It didn't even hurt. It was like just, some sensation I didn't feel before. And I didn't even use like heavy weights necessarily. I did a lot of warm up before the exercise. Like I think that's just they were looking for an easy way out to kind of diagnose a problem that's not so simple to diagnose always. Like chronic back pain, it's usually not only mechanical, and in some cases I think it may not be mechanical at all. Like the injury is often has it's what they call like psychosomatic pain. It often has a lot of like psychological, emotional components. I talk a lot about this in my book. Again, it's completely free. Go check it out. Please, it's going to really help you. It's going to be a massive value add to your healing process. In any case, yeah, the common like consensus I always received from doctors, like you got injured in the gym and you got to do like the complete opposite of that type of lifestyle from now on. You got to be really careful. You got to be really strict. And that kind of trapped me, if I'm being honest. Not just in a physical way, but also like mentally. I started fearing my own body. I swear to God, like I started being scared of like bending over and lifting like even a light object. Everything started to be like a possible injury. I had to watch how my body and back were positioned like the entire time. I also started to reduce a lot of my not just physical activities but also social activities and even productive activities, because like obviously you don't want to sit when you have this injury. And there is actually a strong case against sitting. I do believe in that, and I talk a lot about in my other content about how you should go about sitting, how to be strategic about it. For many of us, like sitting for 6-8 hours in a day during our jobs, it's just reality. It's a requirement. I think a relevant video on that topic should appear here. I believe it's going to be published at this point. Definitely check that out. In any case, like everything had to be reduced from that point onwards. Like not just physical activities, but also social activities, productive activities. Work became like really, really difficult. And everything that I did, like literally every step I made, every action I took, like every plan, every movement, it had to go through this like filter of, is this bad for my back? Is this gonna increase my back pain? And this was going on for years. I can't honestly remember the exact time when I kind of started to figure out that maybe this isn't a good idea, but I think it's at least 3 years, and it may even be like 4 or 5, because it wasn't like a sudden realization. It was kind of more like I was gradually being worn down by being careful all the time and being like fearful all of the time. Even when my back was like destroying me, even when it was killing me, I was like, okay, just like I'll tolerate the pain even. I'll get used to it. I don't care. I just don't want to be like so mindful all the time, like about every little move I make. And funny enough, I think when I started kind of like letting go of that fearfulness and carefulness, I think that's when things kind of initially started to relax and improve a little bit. Again, like this wasn't sudden out of the blue like realization. This was like a really gradual like reduction of the fear. And as the fear reduced, so did the pain with it. And to be fair, like I think it was around year 3 or 4 when I first discovered something that actually also drastically reduced my back pain. And this was like, it was obvious this thing was working. So that's like kind of coincided with this letting go of the fear and the pain. and I started getting better for the first time in maybe like years, maybe 3 or 4 years. It was the first time that I went from like vicious back pain all of the time, like waking up with terrible pain in my back and my sides pretty much every day or every other day. It was like almost the maximum amount of pain I can feel, or even like a level below, but still like really high all of the time. And once I kind of started letting go of these fears, and gradually like the fear and the pain started to diminish. And this is one of the main reasons why I'm confident, I'm absolutely certain that back pain, it's pretty much a mind game. It does have a physical component. Obviously, it's related to the body, but the mind game is really strong here. And if you learn how to play it, if you learn how to beat this game, you're gonna beat your back pain as well. Now, it's really important. It's critical that you understand this. If you've just had like a really bad back injury recently, it's probably really critical for you to actually be very still and rest and be very careful how you use your back. This should be the case in the first few days and maybe even the first few weeks. But I strongly, strongly recommend you don't allow that fear and that like extreme cautiousness to settle into your body. You gotta keep reminding yourself, even when you're being like very mindful of your movements, that the pain, no matter how strong, no matter how intense, is only temporary. It's gonna go away. But while the situation is still bad, while the injury is fresh, it really pays to be careful. That is like the right move here. And after some time, probably like a month or maybe 6 weeks tops, you gotta start regaining your bravery, your confidence. You gotta start getting back into your body. Like a month, 6 weeks tops, you gotta start regaining your bravery, your confidence, your power, your movement. Your body is your confidence. They are literally the same thing. How you move is like how you are, how you behave in the world. So once you're kind of healed from the initial injury, aim to re-inhabit your body as quickly as possible, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning. This is a battle of morale. This is a battle of spirit. If you let the spirit fall, if you let like morale fall, you're gonna lose. You're gonna be in pain a lot longer than you need to. This is probably what happened to me actually. I allowed myself to get scared, to get fearful, and this extended my healing journey to decades, literally. I'm really super serious about this. Guys, this is critical. This is probably the most important thing. There is a reason why I end all of my videos with the phrase like, be brave. This is really important. If you allow like fear to settle into you, you're gonna keep falling into this like whirlpool of fear and despair and pain. And this is how chronic pain gets born. It's born out of fear. You shouldn't take years to heal this. This should be done in a matter of weeks. Just do the things properly and set your mind right, set like your, even like I would say your heart, your soul right. Eliminate fear. Get back into your body, like start moving again, like you're alive, like you're here, like you're powerful. That's how you heal in weeks. And if you do things like I did them, and if you let like fear settle in you, again, this can take years, literally. Like, don't do that to yourselves. Again, just a rule of thumb. And I don't know what your doctor is gonna tell you. They're probably gonna recommend some form of rest. It's probably a good idea to listen to them and be like, you should be careful for at least a week or maybe two in a lot of cases. I think a month is probably the top, or maybe 6 weeks, let's just say. Like, you shouldn't be super mindful of how you move and calculating your every move and, you know, being like super rigid for more than 6 weeks. I think like even that's like dangerous territory over there. Chronic back pain actually, like, it has such a strong mind component, such a strong psychological component, that it kind of grows on you. The more it's in your head, in your thoughts, like the more it's in your body, the greater it becomes. Kind of like an analogy, probably not exactly like scientific explanation, but this is how things work. Like, practically that's what happens. The pain grows from your like maybe one spot of the injury. It can spread all over your body. Don't let that happen. And no matter what doctors tell you, like, don't allow that to happen at any cost. Like, honestly, like, doctors, they're often like overworked, they're distracted, maybe they're even ignorant about this problem. A lot of them have like sort of like a different playbook about this whole thing. They're not really big on the idea that, you know, back pain can be related to psychology and emotions. Like, they don't really address that. They don't talk about a lot of important the stuff when it comes to chronic back pain, especially nutrition, and they are usually opposed to like working out in the gym and strengthening your the muscles in your back and your core and your abs, which is definitely something you should be working on. And like, God forbid, maybe your doctor even has like conflicting incentive. I mean, I hope this is not the case, but this can happen. Like, doctors sometimes get kickbacks from pharmaceutical companies. I guess you know this, right? If you didn't, like, this is the reality for some people. They go to the doctor's office with an injury, and the doctor just keeps prescribing them like stronger and stronger painkillers until they end up with a painkiller addiction. This happens like in the West. This is a really big problem. I guess a lot of doctors, they don't even realize what they're doing, but some of them, they're like malicious actors. You gotta open your eyes here. Not everyone is gonna be your friend. And I get it, like, it's a difficult position even for doctors, because if they do things wrong, there's also the chance of them being like sued for malpractice. It's a difficult position for them too. I understand that. So they kind of have to, in many cases, play it like extra carefully. They may be like a little bit more engaged, let's just say, in their advices to take it easy. You may take that seriously. I think that's actually where things break down. Like, even if the doctor has like good intentions and they're telling you like, don't move, rest, don't lift like heavy objects, don't exercise, and you take that as dogma, that's where the mistakes happen. Even if they mean well, after a while, you should get back into your body. You should start moving freely once again. If you let like these restrictions like control your life, trust me, the pain is not only gonna stay there, it's gonna increase. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what your doctor is gonna recommend. They will probably recommend something like rest a lot and be careful how you move. Listen to them for at least until you start noticing getting better. And when you notice like the first day or two or three of the pain like kind of reducing, you will probably be on painkillers at this point, which is important. It is a step in the right direction initially. Initially, you should take painkillers. That's what I believe too. But after you start like noticing like, okay, I'm getting a little bit better, let go of the fear. Go back into being a person who moves freely and just enjoying using their body. That's the way forward. So don't like disobey your doctors, but don't disobey your body either. And honestly, like, if I had to choose, I would probably choose my own body, because I think it has more wisdom even than like all the theory that doctors technically should know. I went through like 10 years of this, and this is mostly because I became like fearful. I honestly believe that was like the main reason why it took me literally an entire decade to heal something that I believe I can show you how to heal in 10 weeks. 10 weeks instead of 10 years. Think about that, like 10 years of pain. That's insane. That's bonkers. I mean, that's why I'm kind of like, maybe I may look like a little bit fired up and intense when it comes to this topic, but I think this is one of the most important topics in healing back pain. So even when you're careful, never be fearful. That's probably how I would summarize this entire point. If you want to learn more about why I think this is so important and what I went through, and also other things that I use to heal, what other things I believe are really good for healing back pain, again, definitely check out my free book, completely free. I wrote it so that I actually wrote it for a younger version of myself, if that makes sense. But I think everyone who's struggling with a lot of back pain will benefit massively from it. This is going to be a really huge resource in your healing journey, completely free. Also, I have an app for back pain that also has a free tier. Definitely check that out. I have a course, which I think if you're actually serious about healing as soon as possible, as painlessly as possible, the course and the guidance and the exercises and the techniques I provide in there, they're going to be available. You can take a quiz, and it's going to also create a plan for you that's going to be really robust and really like really a long-term plan on how you should go about the whole thing. And if you're interested, you can also schedule a free consultation call with me. We're going to go about different strategies and what that might be best for you to heal your back pain. Links to all of that, all of those resources are in the description or in the pinned comment. Definitely check them out. At least the free book should be something that I believe all of you should read it if you're struggling with back pain for more than 3 months and you're not seeing a way out. Things are not actually like that much better. That's something that you should definitely check out. My name is Mate from Real Deal Heal. Hit the like button and subscribe to this channel and hit like the bell ding 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 notification thingy, because if you're going through a lot of back pain, I think my channel is going to be a really valuable resource to you. Definitely subscribe. If you know someone else who's struggling with back pain, recommend this video and this channel to them. If you have any comments, any questions, go to the comment section. I would be happy to answer and provide help if I can. And given that I do have quite a lot of experience with back pain and I've tried a lot of things, I should be able to at least give you some direction if that's what you need. If you want to keep binging on videos on back pain like this, the next video that's going to appear around the top here right about now should be a great choice. I will see you there, and until next time, be brave.